All right, so here is the part where things start getting really good. So I'm gonna explain to you guys why Jim Comey was fired as FBI director. And this has to do with what went on during the Obama administration. So I'll get into the story. So as I've mentioned in my other videos, I was set up when I was in North Dakota as part of this operation, Pipe Cleaner. It's an FBI operation. You can Google it, look it up. Introduced to these women, that as friends and, didn't know that they were caught up in dealing drugs or prostitution or otherwise. So I met this girl, met her on a dating site. She's a single mom, had a daughter in the Army, just looking to go out and do something. And I had just recently gotten off of opiates, so I was feeling a little bit depressed, needed something to do. So I went out with this girl. I should say girl, she's my age. In fact, birthdays are only a few days apart. But went over to her house one night. And I was telling her about, I've been kind of depressed since I've been off the pain meds. It's kind of, was on for years. And just recently got off. And she said, I think I got something that might help you. And I said, oh, really? Okay, well, I'll try anything, And I wasn't thinking illegal drugs. I was thinking, my sister's always trying to, give me iodine or some herbal stuff. And so she handed me a glass of water, and I drank it. I said, yeah, it kind of pep me up a little bit. What, you have any more? And, she put a little bit more in there, and I had some, and I said, that stuff works pretty good. What is it? Well, this girl hands me a 1/4 gram of methamphetamine. Now, mind you, she's working as an FBI informant. She was caught up in a drug operation, and they probably let her off, to go after the bigger fish. She was just a runner. She was probably, getting drugs for her Johns. She knew where to get them. And so they recruited her to introduce me to drugs, which I had never done any methamphetamine, didn't know what it was. So this went on for about a week. I took this stuff, and I said, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to risk my job. I'm drug, they drug test us all the time, randoms and stuff. And, they kind of frown on that, doing the kind of work that I do. We're dealing with safety systems. We're dealing with, computers that run facilities and gas and oil and it's a safety thing, safety risk. Plus, it's methamphetamine, all right? So I ended up leaving North Dakota. Took a sales job up there and was drugged on a sales call. I was handed a bottle of water. I believe it was laced with LSD, just based on my symptoms. Fortunately, I made it back to my hotel room, and they had also loaded some methamphetamine to a buttstock of one of my rifles. So they drugged me, and then they planted drugs on me. So I stayed locked in my hotel room for 2 days, and I posted on Facebook. At that point, I figured I don't care if people think I'm nuts. I don't care if people think I'm on drugs. I don't care. These people are trying to set me up, and I'm going to get the word out. Maybe there's somebody honest out there. Maybe there's somebody, decent that's watching in the intelligence community that will see this and will take notice. And I believe that's exactly what happened. So I left North Dakota. I figured, I didn't know at the time this was an FBI thing. I thought this maybe it's some local, maybe a small town, ex-girlfriend knew the police, and they just wanted to run me out of town or something. So it wasn't worth my job, or the job wasn't worth staying in North Dakota. So I left. and I took a job in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, doing a medium voltage upgrade for a ConocoPhillips research facility. And of course, I hired on with two guys. The two guys I hired on with were both addicts. One was he was addicted to prescription pain meds, just like I was. The other one was a meth addict, and he didn't pass his drug test. Of course, the guy with the prescription stuff did because it was legal. But he was abusing it and offering it to me. So another informant, trying to offer me drugs, offer me illegal drugs. And I saw it in North Dakota. There was a guy trying to give me a golf ball size ounce of methamphetamine and said, hey, you can sell this and just, pay me back when you get the money. They tried to get me to manufacture drugs. Had a roommate, another informant in North Dakota, upstairs. He wanted to go buy some Sudafed and show me how to cook up meth, Same thing happened when I was in Bartlesville. Had another guy that was showing me, there's a new method now. You can get a Coke bottle and this and that and batteries, and I'll show you how to do it for a few $100s. So anyway, I'm doing this job in Bartlesville, North Dakota. The guys are offering me drugs, and finally, the FBI said, gets the clue that I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to accept any more drugs. I'm not going to take any more illegal drugs. So what do they do? Well, what does a dirty FBI agent do? If you don't willingly accept drugs and take them, well, the next step is you invite the guy out to have a beer after work. And you slip him in his drink. And so that's exactly what they did. Now you may say, well, FBI doesn't do things like that. Well, yeah, they do. CIA does too. Look up MK Ultra. They were giving LSD to people unknowingly, even their own people. In fact, one guy jumped out of a building and killed himself, and his family fought for years to get compensated for his death. So it's a dirty little secret. The CIA, the FBI uses drugs on a regular basis. A politician will wake up, go out with a group of lobbyists, have a few drinks, get roofied, and end up in a hotel room, with a 16-year-old girl, and they got everything on videotape, and guess what? They own them. So this stuff happens it's a dirty little secret, and stuff happens all the time. So that's exactly what they did. They brought me out. I went out, had a couple beers after work one day with the guy doing opiates and another buddy that was doing meth on a regular basis. And of course, they bought the beers for me and slipped some methamphetamine in. And then the bartender says, hey, do you recognize me? I said, no, I really don't, but, well, I dated such and such guy. We went out to dinner in North Dakota together. And I said, oh, really? So she gives me her phone number, which is, right there, that's, something's wrong with that. Girl just walks up and hands you her phone number. Something suspicious is going on. And so I took it, and, we kind of chatted a little bit, and I drove back to my hotel room. And so she calls me like immediately, as soon as I get back to the hotel room. How you feeling? I said, well, I'm feeling fine. I just had 2 beers, And she said, you sure you're okay? I mean, did you make it back all right? I said, yeah, it's a mile away. Bartlesville's not a big town, It's a mile to the hotel, and yeah, I had 2 beers. I came back, and I'm fine. I said, well, you want to go out sometime? So we arranged to go out Saturday night. And so we went out to dinner. And then she said, hey, you want to go and have a few drinks afterwards? So I said, yeah, sure, we'll go have a few drinks. So we go to the same bar. Not a whole lot of bars, I guess, in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, but the bar is called the Solo Club. And we had a few drinks, and and then her brother comes in. Her brother plays for the University of Arkansas, a big guy. And So as soon as her brother showed up, she says, "Hey, you want to do some shots?" I said, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll do some shots." So, so she walks me into this back patio outside of the bar. It's January, it's cold outside. I said, "Why do we got to do shots out here?" She said, "Oh, well, we got them set up out here." And so she walked out there, and her bartender friend walked out there, and of course I walked out there, and there was 3 shots laid out on the table. And she says, "Your shot's the middle one." And I'm like, "Well, that's kind of odd. They're all the same, aren't they? Why does it matter which one's mine? But okay, I'll take the middle one." So I took the shot. And then she ignored me the rest of the night. Her job was done. She got the drugs in my system. Now it was just a waiting game to wait for me to flip out and do something. So she sat me down at a table with some girl that she said was her friend that didn't say 2 words the whole night. She just sat there with a scowl on her face because, I didn't flip out and get high on meth. And anyway, we ended the night. I stayed there, closed the bar down, had a couple more drinks. 3 a.m., she drove me back to my hotel room. And I never went out with her again, even though she said she had a great time, That's typically what happens with these informants. I've been out with a lot of them. And, that one time, they cut ties and the FBI gags them. You don't tell people what you've done. And so this happened, funny thing, I went to church the next morning, and I went to Life Church there in Tulsa, because I was going to Life Church there in the city, and the FBI followed me there. There was 3 of them, and they're obvious. I spot these guys right off. 2 of them sat right in front of me, one of them sat at the end of my aisle, because they were thinking, well, maybe this stuff will hit him, later on. Maybe he had too much to drink and the alcohol was affecting him, and that this stuff, kick in. And the FBI is pretty smart. I'm sure, after the first time, after work, they probably used more, So nothing happened. And never went out with the girl again. So then they tried a 3rd time. And this was at a Chili's. I was handed a $25 gift card by a safety guy. And this was all set up with the coworkers, They had this all set up. As soon as they handed me the card, they said, "Hey, let's go have a drink after work." All right, let's go have a drink. So we go to Chili's, sit at the bar. Bartender's named Millie, and she's a typical looking Oklahoma meth addict, just really emaciated, looked about 10 years older than she probably was, and high as a kite at work. The girl could not sit still for 2 seconds. And I said, "Here we go again." And this time the FBI brings a bunch of agents. So they're, it's a U-shaped bar at Chili's. They sat around the kind of the end of the U. There was like 4 of them. And they're I can hear the water cooler talk already. We drugged this guy 2 times and nothing happened. Can you believe this shit? Sorry about the language, but I'm trying to be FBI here. And no, I can't believe that. I got to see this for myself. So they all showed up that day. So I had a margarita and finished it off. And typically there was a little bit left, in the bottom. And typically what they do, and I'm sure Millie added something to it, but usually they wash the glasses right there at the bar, But not my glass. They put it on a tray, carried it out the back door of the Chili's through the kitchen. About the same time, these 4 FBI, they get up, they go out the front door and meet Millie around the back. So what are they doing? Well, they are testing to make sure the drugs got in the margarita. When they were satisfied, they came back in and sat down and just watched me. Of course, I had a drink and ate dinner, About the time I was getting up, another guy from work comes in. Okay, here's the stalling tactic. Okay, they got to stall you. So another guy comes in and he wants to talk work for about half an hour. So I talked to him for about half an hour and had another drink and had a dessert. And, finally I was like, I'm going back to my hotel room. So I go back to the hotel room and I got a full belly and a couple of margaritas. I go to sleep. And then I get like a Facebook message at 2 a.m. from another informant back in North Dakota asking how I'm doing. And I said, well, I'm doing fine. I was just sleeping. What are you doing, texting me sending me messages at 2 a.m. in the morning? So these guys were checking on me. And I forgot to mention the girl that I went out with on the date before. She brought her brother there, brother, big guy. Obviously, they were expecting, something to happen, and they wanted to make sure she was protected, which is the reason why I didn't take the shot before he showed up. So I thought I'd throw that in. So then, a fourth time. So I met this girl online in Tulsa. She's from Tulsa. So I went to meet her on a date. So she wanted me to Starbucks have coffee. So here's the FBI now. They're thinking, well, maybe the alcohol's affecting them. We can't get them to flip out too much because alcohol is calming them down. So now we're just going to go with the triple mocha, and throw some methamphetamine in there and see what happens. So I pull up. I'm a little bit early. There's 4 Tulsa PD outside. They're next door eating burritos. And but there's 4 Tulsa cop cars out there. So they're ready. So I come in and I drank my whole coffee waiting on this girl. And it's loaded, I'm sure. She doesn't show up. She's late, and I finally said, "Screw it, I'm out of here. I'm already kind of nervous. There's 4 cops next door. I've been through this 3 times already. I know exactly what they're doing, And well, as soon as I hit the door, she pops in. Here we go with the stall tactic. This girl talks nonstop for 30 minutes. Doesn't let me get a word in, And they're trying to keep me there, hoping that the drugs will kick in. Got the cops next door. They're ready to bust me. And nothing happened. We went bowling. I said, hey, you want to go do something else? And we bowled a couple games. Went back to my hotel. And so at this point, I'm pretty confident. I know I was drugged. I know I didn't feel anything. And I could only say that the good Lord was watching over me. That's the only explanation, because these guys are smart. They're going to keep up in the dose until they see an effect. And I definitely had effect in North Dakota when they hit me with the LSD. So the only explanation is that God said, enough's enough. We're not going to let you set this guy up. And I never had a problem. And they've tried, believe me. FBI, CIA, state, local, police. Everybody's tried. It almost became like a game. You won't believe this guy. You can put anything in his drink that you want. Nothing's going to happen to him. And so this happened. It's literally dozens of times. And but this was the turning point with the FBI, because I knew I got these guys now. These guys have drugged me repeatedly, and they've seen no effect. And they may have been thinking they're going after a bad guy. These may be decent guys. We're going to bend the rules a little bit. We need to get this guy off the street. We're going to drug him. He was delivering drugs up in North Dakota, and we got to bust this guy. But that was a turning point. So I got pissed off after this, and I went down to Walgreens and I bought a card, a thank you card, and I bought a Chili's gift card, $25, and I had a Life Church invitation card from the church where they'd followed me the next day. So I enclosed it in there, and I wrote some smart-ass thing, thank you, FBI, for all you do to protect us, and here's a little token of my appreciation, and I really suggest you, take the drive, 45-minute drive up to Bartlesville. And Billy, the bartender there, makes a really killer margarita. And I mailed it to the FBI's Tulsa office. And it seemed to work for a while. They backed off for a long time after that because they were exposed, and I was trying to get some of these field agents on my side to realize they were being lied to by FBI headquarters about me. And the only explanation for me not having a reaction is that it was supernatural. It was a miracle. No, there's no other way to describe it. And from that day, from that very first day where I had the 2 beers with the guys, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. You could drug me, and you guys are welcome to try. If you want to take me out, and just don't tell me it's in there. I guarantee you nothing will happen. It's been proven over and over again. And so the FBI has been actively busy trying to cover this whole thing up, this whole setup. Somehow I made it on their bad list, and they decided they were going to pin some crime on me, and didn't work out like they thought it would. And so the whole Russia thing, it's a lie. You have to it's like when you tell a lie and you get caught, and you have to tell a bigger lie to cover the other lie. Well, that's what this whole thing's about. It's that simple, In order to keep Trump and the Department of Justice and his Attorney General from investigating this stuff that happened under Obama, they have to keep the people that were victims of this under investigation. And that's exactly what they did to me. And that's how I got involved in this whole Russian scam and this mess that I'm in. And it's because I fought back. I didn't let these guys just, I wasn't going to let them, I wasn't going to go to jail for something I didn't do. But it's taking its toll on reputation, and there's people that think I'm crazy, and the FBI's out there spreading the stories. Oh, he's just delusional. He was on drugs for years, and he doesn't, he's schizophrenic, and they make up all this bullshit. But in the end, they're going to have to go to the American public. They're going to have to go to my coworkers. They're going to have to go to my friends. They're going to have to go to my family, and they're going to have to tell them the truth. And they're going to have to admit that they lied to them the entire time and that I was right. And that's what we're fighting right now. That's why Comey was fired when I wrote that letter to the president. That's why he was fired. Because the intelligence community, the good guys, NSA, were well aware of what was going on with me. And so word got to the president of what was going on, and they tried to tie his hands. They tried to accuse me of being a Russian asset so that he can't do his job. But sooner or later, justice will be served, and you heard it right here first.